Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is kind of going to be a little bit all over the board, but my main point for this is reading the new It Starts With Us book by Colleen Hoover. This is the sequel to It Ends With Us, which if you didn't know is definitely one of my top favorite books, if not favorite. I just resonate with it a lot, and I know a lot of people take it as like a romance book, but I just feel like the message in it is very strong about raising awareness for the book's premise. There's lots of trigger warnings and sensitive topics for the book if you've yet to read it, and I'm not sure about the second one yet because I haven't looked anything up about it. Really quick book haul is I got It Starts With Us obviously today. I went to Barnes & Noble. I didn't want to order it online just in case it got backed up. I didn't want to have multiple days where it wouldn't be here, and I also just wanted to get it in person. It was an excuse for me to go to Barnes & Noble, so I got that. And then this is off topic, but I also got Imagine Me, which is the last full novel for the Shatter Me series. So now I have all of the full-sized book novels. That was my little book haul. And then right now, today, I am going through and rereading and annotating It Ends With Us. I read this book originally in April. I actually talked about it in obviously my wrap-up for April. So I never annotated it when I was reading it because I read it on vacation. So now I have these red and light pink tabs. I just have highlighted areas and where I tabbed. I know some people tab differently. I'm gonna try and finish this tonight, and then we're gonna jump into It Starts With Us tonight or tomorrow because this book is actually not that long. It's only 300 pages, 320 pages, so I'm excited to see where this goes. And if you've read the first book, this cover makes me so happy, and I also really love the first cover. There's gonna be spoilers for this book and for the new one, so if you haven't read them or you care about me spoiling it, then I probably wouldn't recommend the video. But I'm picking up on a lot of red flags from Ryle right off the bat that I kind of brushed under the table or ignored because you get very much so manipulated in this book where you're like, oh, that's a red flag, but whatever, he's attractive, or he has this really good pro. So you kind of brush this stuff away, or you don't take these situations seriously because they're smaller, so then when the bigger things happen, you're like, oh wait, shoot, that was definitely a sign that he was gonna do that. But there was a point in the book where I genuinely was so caught up and in love with both of the characters that I was like, I don't know who she's gonna pick. I genuinely was at a loss, and then things obviously start happening. I'm literally listening to my It Ends With Us playlist that I created a while ago. Not because I know I was gonna reread this book necessarily so quickly, but I just wanted songs that remind me of this book because it was soul crushing. And this book, I would say I consistently thought about it on almost a daily basis for 3 months after I read it. Look how many times I've tabbed this already. I just got to the part of the book where I feel like everyone got really confused, me included, because you kind of start taking this turn of oh, you know what, Ryle's not that good of a guy. He is obviously really struggling with anger issues, and he's definitely a big red flag. And then there's the moment when they just randomly decide to go fly out and get married in Las Vegas, and it's so abrupt, but everyone seems so genuine and so happy, so it just makes you so excited for them. This is the one moment that I really started liking Ryle again. Men need to take notes from Alice Corrigan because this man is perfect. Also, I love how she was there for him when he was not doing well his whole childhood, and now she's not doing well and he's there for her. I'm gonna continue this. I got to page 225 or something. The current time, 12:20. This is the magnet part. No, I hate this part. I finally finished It Ends With Us. You can see I have many different colors for tabbing because I kept running out of tab colors. So I have some red, pink, green, and then blue. I'm really happy I got to annotate it because after I read it for the first time, I was really sad I never got to annotate it, and I successfully read this in technically 1 day or in 24 hours. I'm very happy about that. I stayed up till 2 reading this, and I was reading it all throughout the day yesterday, and it definitely helps that it's one of my favorite books. It was just easy to fly through in my opinion. I was never bored. I enjoyed it a lot more. Since I didn't know what the whole premise was and what was going to happen, I didn't sob as much as I did, but there was times I teared up. There was definitely times a few tears were rolling. I was breathing a little, but I didn't like fully break down like I did the first time I read it. I still love this book. I love most of the characters in it. I really like the setup, and people can hate on it, whatever. I love this book. So now that that's been read twice this year, we can move on to It Starts With Us. I'm definitely gonna tab it too. I want to get colors that kind of, like, I tried to roughly match. I'm gonna do probably blue and yellow tabbing for this. I don't really want to read the synopsis of this because I don't want anything spoiled, so I'm gonna go into a blind. Obviously it's like a continuation, but I'm not sure what the main plot point is of this book. Probably gonna use these tab colors because I feel like they work pretty well, mainly the blue ones. No one told me that Atlas gets a POV in this. I swear if Ryle and Atlas get POVs in this, especially Atlas though, I'm so happy about this. I'm literally on page 1. And I'll tell you the opening of this. The way asshole is misspelt in red spray paint across the back door of Bibs makes me think of my mother. She would always insert a brief pause between syllables, making it sound like 2 separate words. I wanted to laugh every time I heard it. This is picking up right where we left off of like the conversation on the sidewalk at the end of the book of It Ends With Us, and now it's like a few hours later and they're texting each other, so you're basically seeing them like start to finally actually have a connection that's like present day and not from the past, and it's not like a, oh, in the future we should do this. It's like actually starting to happen, and I love that. I'm so the Atlas content in this is making me so happy. It's switching back and forth right now between Atlas and Lily, so I'm thinking that's gonna be the POV. All right, hi, it's been a few days. I've just been really busy and didn't have time to continue reading my book, but I'm back to reading. I am on page 68 currently, so I'm going to continue reading today. And I lost my AirPods, which I'm really sad about. I do have headphones, but I do sometimes like my AirPods, so I want to try and find them. I have no idea where they are. I'm going to continue reading this today. I actually would love to finish this today or tomorrow, even though I still have quite a lot of reading to do. But we're going to see how much we get through today. It's just, I feel like this book's going to be a really quick read for me. And it's not that I haven't been wanting to read. I just have genuinely been like extremely busy the past couple of days. So I'm currently reading this, and I'm also reading this right now. This is my like book club book I have with my friend Hunter that we decided to pick up this month. So I also need to finish that today or tomorrow. So I only have like 50 pages left of it, but I'm also reading Bunny. Okay, so I just got to page 152, so chapter 17, and I'm literally so obsessed with the Atlas and Lily point of views. I love that we get to see more of what Atlas is thinking and his perspective, and you're going through and he has her notebook from the first book of like everything she wrote about him, so you like go back and kind of get refreshed on all of the things she said about him, and he's reading it for the first time, and it's so cute. Y'all know this video has spoilers about this book, so I love the found family aspect in this right now that's happening. I actually am like really obsessed with found family trope if it's done well, and I thought it was kind of weird at first. I was like, well, that's kind of a random trope to add into this book, but I'm starting to like love it because I'm starting to imagine how this book is gonna end, and I think it's gonna be so cute. I'm obsessed with Atlas. Like, he is seriously like the cutest human being, and Lily's so sweet. Anyway, basically I'm obsessed with this so far, and I love that you're starting to see Atlas and Lily like starting to like figure their lives out and like get together, and it's so cute. On page 203, and I've just been really behind on reading this book. I think I've been reading this book for almost a week now, but I've just been really busy getting around to it. I'm literally so obsessed with this, and I don't really know what to say about it, but I just love all the little moments of Atlas and Lily and just seeing them like be a thing when they're older, and it's so cute. I'm on page 209, and I just got to the part where Ryle like started getting aggressive again, and like I was really hoping he'd be a little different, even though I didn't want him in this book, but he's not, and it's so sad. Ryle, why you gotta do this to me, man? It's interesting rereading the first book and also this one, just picking up on so many toxic situations and manipulative things he would say or do to Lily that are not okay or like just aren't normal, that like maybe you wouldn't necessarily pick up so much on the first time of reading It Ends With Us. So I'm glad I reread it for that reason. I also love that some of the notes from the first book are restated in here of like Atlas's perspective of him reading him. So obviously throughout this video I've kept everyone updated on my opinions throughout reading both of these books. I have officially finished It Starts With Us and I did my rereading for It Ends With Us. So I'm gonna do a recap on both and kind of talk about some things I enjoyed about both, talk about my experience rereading a book for the first time, and also I annotated this book. I never got around to it when I read it for the first time, so that was definitely something I wanted to do. I've also only read 3 books ever in a one-day span, and when I reread this book, I read it in one single day. And then this book, which we're going to talk about, is obviously the new It Starts With Us book that I annotated going through it, and we're going to talk about both. So obviously throughout this video I've kept everyone updated on my opinions throughout reading both of these books, but this book was really great to get a refresh on because I wanted just to be back in the story, remember all the characters, remember how everything went down. And rereading this, I really got a different perspective on Ryle and how obviously the whole situation happened, because from the beginning when you read the book for the first time, I think a lot of people can agree they were pretty in love with Ryle from the start and they just thought he was very charming and they just liked a lot of things about him. And then rereading this, there was a lot more red flags that I picked up on, or a lot more arrogance that you thought was just kind of confidence, and like there was just a lot of arrogance and a lot of high ego that I feel like got projected as like confidence and like flirting when you read it for the first time. But now rereading it, I just like pick up on like how icky that is, and such like just such red flags, the things that he held against her in this book and was accusing her of when he was literally abusing her. He just kept trying to flip this situation around and making himself the victim, and like in the first time you read this, you definitely do just feel bad. You do feel bad for him for some things, but now rereading it, I have zero sympathy towards him, and it is all completely on him, and he can't blame everything on his past. So I was very glad to reread it and get kind of a different perspective on everything and literally just be rooting for Atlas the entire time. I love this book. I really think there's an important message behind it, and I know it's controversial to a lot of people. I know that a lot of people don't like this book because it's too hyped up or because they had different expectations of what it was going to be. And I don't think this book should just be thought about for the romance aspect. I think there's such an important message of abuse and just watching Lily fall into this cycle that so many people fall into, and giving people second chances, third chances, and they keep coming back, and just seeing how this takes place and how the manipulation slowly happens. You definitely get manipulated in this book when you read it for the first time, because you're just feeling for her. You're like, oh, maybe he is a good guy and it was just a bad situation, and you just start almost feeling for her, like you're making excuses for him too. So that's why I wanted to reread it and completely just be fully against him. I do think that is a really important part of this book. I know there's cheesy points in this book. I know a lot of the things are corny and whatever, and I completely agree with that, but I feel like if those aspects weren't in this book, it would just be a very heavy read. I mean, it is heavy in multiple points in this book, so I feel like having cheesier flashbacks and just having her name be Lily Bloom, like things like that, it kind of softens the blow of how heavy this book can be. Yeah, so this book is easily personally a 5-star for me. I don't think it is the best book ever made. I think that there'll be other books that I'll probably end up liking better in the future, but I do just find the story and message behind this very important. So now on to It Starts With Us. I tried to vlog my opinions and curveballs reading this, but toward the end of the book, like the last 100 pages, I really didn't keep anyone updated because I was so invested in this and I just like wanted to finish it. And it did take me a little while to read this. It took me almost 2 weeks to read this just because I've been so busy and it's like Halloween time. Anyways, I loved the premise of this book. I went into it blind. I didn't read the description. I had no clue what the synopsis of this was. I just obviously assumed it was something to do with the continuation of Atlas and Lily's relationship. So this book literally starts off straight where this book ends, and either you really enjoy that or you won't like it. I loved it because I thought it was going to be like years in the future, so long after, but it literally takes place, I believe, like 2 weeks after how this book ends. So you pretty much jump right back into what's going on, and I loved that because you saw every single thing spark. You saw first dates, first everything's again, and I love that it didn't just transport into like multiple years in the future of them already being together. I like how you saw how everything played out, her dealing with her divorce and her separation and her child and dating Atlas and everything like that. So, and I just absolutely loved Atlas in this book. I just love seeing how you see the flashbacks of him as a teenager and then just maturing into an adult and becoming like such an incredible person. I mean, obviously there's a lot of spoilers in this video, but just the part where Atlas was literally giving advice to Ryle as he was trying to punch him, and he's literally sitting there not punching him back, giving him life advice about how he screwed up, and he would not like put hands on him or anything. Like, just the maturity level of this man was incredible, and I love that Lily got to be with a person like that. I actually really loved seeing more from Emerson in this book. I mean, she didn't talk or anything, but I thought the situations with her kid were really cute, and you could tell she prioritized her, which I love because I have read books where the kid gets kind of like pushed out the window. There was just a good amount of like the kid being involved, but also she wasn't the main plot or anything like that, so I'm glad that there wasn't too much of her. I genuinely loved this book. I didn't want to put it down when I was reading. The situations had me covering my mouth. I was setting the book down. I was taking a lap around, and that's just when I know a book is solid, when I'm literally reacting like that. I will mention there was a lot of people who have been complaining that Ryle wasn't really involved in this book, or he like didn't do anything in this book really. And I love that about this book. I didn't want him involved whatsoever. He like literally gives me the ick when he's around. And I'm just glad they kept it to a minimal of his book airtime, because I just like did not want him to be in the book at all. Like, I was really hoping that he was just not even in the picture anymore. He was very minimally in this, and I liked that about the book. But if you don't like that, I mean, I guess maybe I could get where you're coming from just because he was so involved in the first one, but like after the first book, I just wanted nothing to do with him. And I like how this book ended. I love the found family. It was solid. It was a solid read. I'm very happy. And I know a lot of people have been talking about how they don't think it lived up to the hype, or this was so anticipated and it let them down, but that's people's opinions. Everyone has different opinions. I get it if you don't like this book. I get it if you don't like Colleen Hoover. Whatever. My opinions on both of these books. I love both the covers. I really love the new cover. Just if you've read it, it makes sense. And then the first book, I guess, makes sense because that's Lily's, but I just love both these covers. They did a great job, whoever designed them. So I hope you guys enjoyed. You should definitely subscribe and let me know what your opinions are on both of these books or one of these books, if you've read them yet, if you haven't. This is a huge spoiler vlog, obviously, so if you haven't read them but you watched the whole video, you kind of got spoiled on a lot of things. But I will make that very apparent in this video before people are watching it. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys all next time. I love you very much. You should subscribe if you're into book content, and I will see you guys next week or just whenever I post next. All right, bye.